Hey bitches, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video of me sitting here not knowing what the hell I'm going to talk about, but we are just going to wing this because I have not done a video on this channel in a good long while. It's probably been like 4 days? 4 or 5 days. The upload schedule has been very scarce, but there are a few things that I wanted to talk about on here. Some of them involve drama. One of them involves without a crystal ball, without a pot to piss in. She is over there just literally getting sued by everyone. Todd Chrisley is going after her. I saw that Mary from Sister Wives might allegedly be having a lawsuit against Katie Joy. Not sure about that. That's why I said allegedly, because I don't know. I feel like there's so many people that are suing Katie Joy that is like, YouTube gonna step in and do something about this? Because every single day someone new is coming forward to sue Katie Joy from Without a Crystal Ball. It's actually insane. But wait, actually going back to that lawsuit real quick from Todd Chrisley, I think that they actually reached the class action lawsuit level. 12 people have come forward, and I believe that Todd Chrisley is actually going to fund those lawsuits. So that'll be fun. Katie Joy, you enjoy that. But I also wanted to talk about how Katie Joy is over on Twitter. I think she has since deleted these, claiming that she's exactly like Gabby Petito, which, by the way, I want to say rest in peace to Gabby Petito. It is a horrible situation. I do believe that there are a lot of people here on social media that are just trying to bank off of this situation. There are a lot of people over on TikTok that are psychics all of a sudden that are trying to give out these locations of Brian and where Gabby was, all of this kind of stuff. And I think it's tacky. I think that people are just trying to jump onto something to get some views, some clicks, especially on TikTok. I mean, there have been a few people over on TikTok that have had to issue actual apologies because the information they are actually putting out is more damaging rather than anything. And that brings me to Katie Joy, because she was over on her Twitter claiming that she was exactly like Gabby. She was in a relationship like that before, just really making the situation about herself. And this was the second time that she did this. Katie Joy, you're tacky as fuck for doing that, first and foremost. But the other time that she did this was when she said that because of her coverage of this case and the things that she said, she claimed that people actually put in a call to the FBI, made an anonymous report in the wrong town, and that they showed up at her door looking for Brian because they said that she was actually harboring him. She was trying to help him. And it turns out she hasn't had a police officer or anything to her house since December of 2020. So Katie Joy, shame on you. I can see why people are suing you. But I wanted to get to some other things in this video because you guys know I have been going through a lot. I have literally been going through the most. Going through my mom's house has been very interesting, very eye-opening, sad. There have been happy moments. There's just been a lot of reminiscing over memories. But one thing that I always wanted to know when my mother was still here, but I never really pried too much. A lot of you out there know that I'm adopted, and with adoption, especially here in Florida, it can be a very closed case. Parents don't want you to know anything about them, and I think it's ridiculous. I've talked about it a few times here on social media, but I think it's ridiculous that when you're adopted, you don't even get the minimum of what could be health issues in your family, what health issues your mother had or what health issues your father possibly had. And I mean, telling someone that someone has a heart condition or, they have leaky something is not gonna make me automatically look at someone and be like, oh, you must be my biological mother and you might be my biological father because of this condition right here. It doesn't. But upon cleaning out my mom's house, now I told you guys I never pried. I was never one of those kids that was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find my parents, because honestly, my biological parents, let me correct myself, because I do believe that my mother, adopted mother and adopted father are my real parents. I mean, I know that there could be a lot of confusion with that if I start saying mother over here, mother over there, all that kind of stuff. I get it. But I'm not the kind of person that ever really cared to know who was in my family or where I came from, because I was happy and I was content with what I had. And I had a very loving mother. And so, it's fucking hot as shit in here now. As I was saying, as I was going through my mother's house the other day, I actually came across this paper right here. And this is from the Department of Health here in Florida. And I was born in 1988. This came in 1989. And it actually details a few things about my biological parents. I mean, I always knew that they were younger. I was always told that I was put up for adoption because they were in the process of going to school. They were trying to better their lives and all of that. So, I mean, how could you really fault anyone for that, in my opinion. I remember being in elementary school and in middle school, hell, even in high school, this happened, and people would try to make fun of me for being adopted, like, oh, your parents didn't want you, and I'm like, okay, but someone did, and they paid for me, so I don't know, I don't exactly know where the argument is when it comes to that, but my point of even talking about this is the fact that here in Florida, it is a very difficult situation. From what I understand, if you really want to go and figure out who your parents are, figure out all that kind of stuff, you have to be going through some pretty serious stuff in order for them to even think about unsealing your documents, unless your parents have already come forward and said that they would like that to happen. I personally, for me, I don't want to meet anyone from my biological family. As I said earlier in this video, it would be nice to know health issues, because you kind of do go through life just like wondering like, hey, is there gonna be a mystery one day that all of a sudden I'm gonna get sick and people aren't gonna know where it came from? Am I gonna have a heart condition? Like what could honestly happen? And now I feel like I have some sort of, I want to say peace of mind just a little bit, because it does give a little bit. Like my mother had a prolapse valve in her heart that she didn't have any issues with for 4 years prior to having me, thank God. And just like a few other things like small hernia. She had to have gallbladder surgery after having me, because I don't know, maybe I just like sucked the life out of her, I'm not exactly sure. And then my father, he was a landscaper and his father died of lung cancer. So there's not really much about my father, but he was 6'3" and 185 pounds. That's kind of what that's what I'm at right now. Like this whole thing going on with my mother and all this stress, I dropped from like 215, I'm like down at almost like 189, I believe is what I weighed myself. So hopefully I can get my weight back up, because I used to always think when I was modeling, I used to always think that I could never see myself being over 200 pounds. And for a while, like people think it's crazy for me because I say that I had an eating disorder, and nobody believes me when I talk about that, because they're like, you were still eating. Yeah, I was still eating, but guess what? There are different kinds of eating disorders. And I was made to believe that I did not need to go over 145 to 155. Now imagine that at 6'2", 6'3", and what that exactly looks like. You can look back on my modeling photos and you can see that while the pictures were good, I'm just gonna throw a little toot to my own horn.
Not to toot my own horn, but beep the fucking beep.
You could definitely tell in a bunch of them that I was not happy, and girl, that's probably because I was extremely fucking hungry. So father was 6'3", 185 pounds. My mother was 5'8" and 132 pounds when she had me. So I guess that I understand where my height comes from, and it does say that both of my parents were from German descent. She has no allergies, which I have no allergies at all, although being in Florida, I think that's just like something that comes with getting older, is that you might develop allergies, and that's kind of where I'm at now, because this pollen, the dander, like just everything is like, the sinus pressure is ridiculous. So I'm really glad that I found this, because it was something like health issues, like I said, is something that I was definitely curious about, but it's nice to know. It's nice to know. I don't know if they do this for everyone. I know that my brother did not find a paper for himself, so I don't know if maybe there's just like a difference in the ceiling, like, hey, we would like this basic information to be put out there. Maybe my parents forgot about this, to be completely honest. Maybe I didn't ask enough, or maybe it was just something that I was like, you know what, he'll find it when he finds it. But I am glad that I found it. I am glad that I found it. I also found all of these, and this is not even like the full amount. I cannot even tell you guys like how cool these are. These are all of the love letters, the courting letters, the let's get married letters, if you will, between my grandfather and my grandma. And at first I was like, I don't want to read this, because I found a few diaries that my mother would keep over the years, and I'm not gonna read those because those were more so like a later in life, like as of recent type of thing. So I'm not gonna read those because that's still just too personal, but these have been years. Years of sitting in a closet. And so last night I was like, you know what, let me just look, because I feel like writing letters like this, writing love letters like this, is definitely a lost art form. People don't do this anymore. You're gonna get a text message or maybe like a FaceTime call. And I just want to say, if I was someone that still drank wine, I would have definitely busted out a bottle and sat on my couch. You know, it feels like you'd be like in a movie with Diane Keaton and Jane Fonda, and you'd be like sitting around on the couch just reading the old letters that you found while having a glass of wine or something and talking about it. That's what this is. These letters are good. At first I felt like it was like an invasion of privacy and I didn't want to do it, but then I was kind of like, they're such old letters and I miss my grandparents so much. It was actually very refreshing to look at, and it was nice to see a different side of them, because the only side that I knew was obviously always being around them as a kid and growing up around them, but I never knew what they were like prior to having kids. Does that make sense? Just like I didn't know, like all these pictures that I found of my mother, I didn't know what she was like before having kids. And let me tell you, my mother lived. There's also a letter in here from my grandma's brother who died at war. And I believe that this is actually right here, the last letter that he ever sent. It's sad that I don't have my mom here to look at these with, because she'd be able to give me more information about who certain people were that were mentioned. But I mean, there's enough pictures all around, and something that my mother was definitely getting into was writing the names and the dates on the back of pictures. That is one thing that I can recommend to everyone out there. If you have a ton of pictures, you're that person that likes to take them, you print them out, you make photo albums, whatever you do, please write on the back of them, because there is no sense in keeping a picture after someone passes away if you have no clue who the hell is in it. So my mother was definitely getting better about that, definitely wrote down a lot of the different locations in the photos, which is actually very helpful. But that's another little bit of advice that I can give to everyone. With all that said, everyone, I'm gonna end this video. I hope that you guys did enjoy it. It looks like it is about to rain here in Florida. I think the lighting has changed a little bit since I've been sitting here, but I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.